Okay, what we're going to do on this lesson is factor out the greatest common factor. We're going to be doing some factoring. And on this entire unit, we're going to be factoring. And this is the very first thing that you are supposed to look for whenever it tells you to factor something. And what we're going to do on this lesson is factor out the greatest common factor. But if the greatest common factor is 1, we're just going to retype the polynomial, which means that there's nothing in common, and then the question is just the answer. So on this, we have to look at two things. We have to look at the numbers, and then we have to look at the variables and their exponents. So let's look at the blue. Let's color this in blue. Okay. So the 3 and the 6. The greatest common factor between 3 and 6. What's the biggest number that goes into both 3 and 6? Well, 3. And then we look at the t's. I have 3 t's and I have 2 t's. So do I have t's in both terms? Do I have t's both here? Yes. Do I have 2 t's in both? Yes. Do I have 3 t's in both? No. So what's the biggest amount that I have in both? And that answer would be 2 of them. And so 3t squared is going to be the greatest common factor, but then we have to factor these out. And so if I factor them out, what we're doing, we're going to divide by the coefficient, and we are going to subtract the exponents. So we're going to divide by 3 and we're going to subtract 2 t's. And whatever's left goes inside the parentheses. So what is 3 divided by 3? 1. And then I have 3 t's here, but I took 2 out. So we have 1 left because 3 minus 2 is 1. Then we're going to put that plus sign there because we always keep that sign. Then we do it again. We have a 6. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And then I had 2 t's, but I took 2 out, so there are not any more t's left with that 2. So this is going to be the answer. Now let me pause and show you what's going on. If we take this and distribute it back into the parentheses, 3 times 1 is 3. I have 2 t's and I have another t, so that'd be 3. Then a plus sign. Then 3 times 2 is 6. And then I have 2 t's. I get the same answer as what question we started off with. So we probably did it right. Okay. So that's how you can check it, but what's circled is the answer. So let's do it again. Okay, so 6 and 8, what's the biggest number that goes into 6 and 8? 2. And then how many d's are in both? 2. So we're going to divide by 2 and we're going to subtract 2 d's. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, and if I subtract 2 d's, I have 1 left. Then a minus sign. Then 8 divided by 2 is 4, and then I have 2 d's, but I took them both out. So that's going to be your answer. Okay, 9 and 8. What's the biggest number that goes into 9 and 8? 1. So there's not a number in common with those. But there is an a in both. Is there at least one a in both terms? Yes. Are there at least 2 a's in both terms? No. So the greatest common factor is a So I'm just going to take 1a away from both terms, but the 9 and the 8 stays together. So that's going to be your answer. Same thing here, 5 and 4. The biggest number that goes into 5 and 4 is 1. But I have 1a in both. I have 2 a's in both, but I don't have 3 a's in both. So this time we're going to take out 2 a's. The 5 is going to stay because we didn't take a number out. Then I have 1a left, and then 4, and then no a's with that because they're both out. Biggest number that goes into 5 and 10, 5. How many r's are we going to take out? 1. So we're going to divide by 5 and subtract an r. So 10 divided by 5 is 2, and I take an r away, plus, and then 5 divided by 5 is 1. Okay, you must have this 1 here, because we have to have the same amount of terms inside as we had inside the question itself. Biggest number that goes into 7 and 3, 1. Are there g's in both terms? No. So the greatest common factor is 1. If the greatest common factor is 1, then that means that we're dividing by 1. If we divide by 1, we get the same answer as what we had to begin with. So this is when we just write the problem again. Biggest number that goes into 8 and 1, 1. There's not t's in both. So again, your question is your answer. Biggest number that goes into 6 and 6, 6. How many b's are we going to take out? 2. So we're going to divide by 6 and take 2 b's away, which leaves us with 1b minus 1. Okay, 4 terms, so we have to look at all 4 spots. Biggest number that goes into 45, 30, 30, and 15. You could look at your factor sheet that I gave you, and the biggest number that's in all of those is 15. Okay, there are 10 h's here, there are 8 h's here, there are 3 h's, but on this one, there aren't any h's. So, do I have at least one h in all 4 terms? No. So, we're not going to take any h's out because there's not an h to take out of all 4 terms. So, basically, we're just going to divide by 15. So, 45 divided by 15 is 3. We didn't take any h's out. 30 divided by 15, 2. 30 divided by 15, 2, minus 15 divided by 15 is 1. Okay. Biggest number that goes into 25, 30, and 5 is 5. I have 9 C's, 8 C's, and 6 C's. So the most that I have in both of them, all 3 of them, is 6. So we're going to divide by 5. And we're going to take 6 C's out. 30 divided by 5, 6. We're going to take 6 away from that 8, so it's 2. 5 divided by 5 is 1. And we took all of the 6 C's away. So there is your answer. Again, all of this unit is factoring. And what we're doing on this lesson is the very first thing that you're supposed to be doing every single time it asks you to factor it. Now, sometimes you can't factor out anything, but that's the very first thing that you're supposed to look for. So keep that in mind as we go along.